We are going to hit the pause button on the series that we've been in James, and we'll pick up next Sunday. But today's a special day. Today we are honoring Ray and Pat Mooney, Steve and Marilyn Gehring, and Jim and Kathy Rollins. And these men and their wives and their families have faithfully served this church for many years. And these men specifically have served as elders here at CCDP for a very long time. Ray and Pat are actually some of the founding members of this church. Ray actually helped build this building, this church building here. And they have pictures, and if you ever get a chance to talk with them and look through the pictures, it's just amazing. This church has been around for 40 years. The year 2020 is actually the 40th year of Christ Church of Deer Park's existence, which is worthy of celebration just in and of itself. By the grace of God and the Spirit's power working inside of his people, CCDP has been serving this community for 40 years. And I think that's worthy of celebrating, right? The elders and their wives have built into this church and the community with grace and generosity and leadership and love. And we know God has worked through them to bless us. And they have shown the love of Jesus to us and have shown intangible ways. And we are so deeply grateful for that. And so today, we're going to take a little bit of time to celebrate and honor them for their leadership and their service to this church body. 1 Timothy 5:17 says, "The elders who direct the affairs of the church well are worthy of double honor, especially those who work in preaching and teaching." And the elders have directed the affairs of the church here well, and they are worthy of double honor. I want to remind you as well of one of our core values as a church. One of our values that we want the culture of our church to be known for, and that is that we celebrate. We like to say it this way: we celebrate. Unswerving gratitude and unflinching praise fill our hearts with the rhythm of joy. And so we praise God for these faithful men and their families. God has worked in all of them individually and as a team, and has used these guys to glorify Jesus, to care for us, the church, and to help people become more Christ-like. And we give praise to Jesus for what he has done through these guys, and we honor you men, and your wives, and your families for following the leading of God and pouring into this church. We are so grateful. And I want to invite a couple of people to come and share as we honor these men and their families. First of all, I'm going to read a letter from Kelly Slippy. She was unable to be here this morning, but had a letter that she wanted shared. And this is what she says. "Today, I would like to share with you a few things about Steve, Jim, and Ray. I have worked in the office here at CCDP for around 12 years now. I've seen the elders pray many, many times for the needs of this body. They have made phone calls to see how our members are doing and even spend their time doing the things that they needed done, helping get wood or helping with repairs needed on someone's home, visiting someone in the hospital, or doing marriage counseling. I know that all I need to do was call, and they would be on it. I remember a time when we had one of our youth girls living with us. She rolled her car, and her car ended up on someone's property doing some damage to their fence. Steve came and repaired their fence. Thank you to these men who love this body." Kelly Slippy. At this time, I'd like to invite up Nate and Jacob and Kurt, and they have a couple of thoughts that they would like to share as well. So if you guys want to come down here, and let's give these men a hand as well.
Shade's really nice over here, so I'm just gonna stay here for the rest of the time. I was on staff here at CCDP for oh, I need to be on that. Man, I'm used to walking with this. I was on staff for about 11 years, and during that time I worked very, very closely with all three of these men, and we did not always see eye to eye, which they will attest to. And that actually, I think, speaks to the strength of the team that we had, because we were able to disagree about things and yet at the end of the day be brothers still who respected each other deeply and who longed for the same most important things. So I'm so grateful for all of my years of having these incredible, godly, grounded, thoughtful men that provided me personally with a really incredible gift. Being in ministry is challenging at times. There are great joys, there are also great challenges and trials. And one of the benefits of being in the position that I was with them in their position kind of as the oversight for our whole church was that they provided protection and guidance and a level of care. I was, along with Tim, when it was our turn to take the lead position, we're very visible, and it was such a blessing to have them actually be the ones that were protecting us and guiding us and offering us what we needed to make our job successful. And so I just want to say a huge thank you to all three of you for everything that you did. Ray, I'm blown away. I always have been by the length with which you have served this body. I don't know that I would have that perseverance and strength, so I honor that in you. Jim, I honor the way that you were always bringing an extra level of thought to things. You were not quick to act and wanted to be very very thoughtful and sure of what we were doing and why we were doing that. I'm so grateful to the way that you provided that for this church and the way that you very quietly served in ways that nobody ever saw. To Steve, who's my dad, I'm grateful for your willingness to do hard things that other people would often shirk away from. And people know that about you, but often don't know the deep heart, the deep level of pastoral care that is in you as well. And so I honor that in you, and I'm grateful for these last 20-ish years that you have served. I was honored to work with all three of you. So I honor you in this moment very publicly, and we will honor you as time goes on, as you move into your next roles. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you did.
Take off my accessories. And I'm not the speaker that Nate is, so I have my notes in front of me. I wanted to take a few minutes to honor some men who've made a big difference in my life. In Romans chapter 12, verses 3 through 8, it says, "For by the grace given to me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment, in accordance with the faith God has distributed for each of you. For just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ, we, though many, form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. We have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. Your gift is prophecy, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement. If it is giving, then give generously. If it is to lead, do it diligently. If it is to show mercy, do it cheerfully." The second to last line said, if it is to lead, do it diligently. That phrase right there describes what these men have done better than any words I can come up with. Ray Mooney, been here at the church since I can remember, and was always a wise man to consult when I was struggling. He's kind and gentle, always ready with a handshake and a heartfelt, "How are you? Good to see you." His wife Patricia has been foundational support for this church and the hundreds of kids and families that have passed through here. Steve Gehring, one of the most well-read and biblical scholars that I know, and his understanding and mental library of passages have encouraged, supported, and protected the church for decades. His wife Marilyn has also been foundational support for the many ministries of this church and is always ready with plans and ideas to overcome challenges. Jim Rollins is the definition of emotionally intelligent. He can sense strife, heartache, passion, potential, and then helps you see those things in yourself. He pours into others wholeheartedly and is a beacon of honesty and truth. His wife Kathy, like Marilyn and Pat, have encouraged and supported the youth and families of this body and touched countless lives. These men and their wives have dedicated countless hours to this body and to God's kingdom without an ounce of selfishness or pride. They have been the spiritual guides and shepherds to hundreds over the years, while always willing to give even more time to lend a helping hand to those in need. Today we celebrate them for their sacrifices to this church, for their commitment to God, and for their impact in our lives. Thank you guys, and may God bless you in this next chapter of your lives.
Morning. I've been a part of this church for more than 20 years. 18 of those years I served as a senior minister, and for a good portion of those 18 years I also served as an elder alongside these three men we're honoring today. I've actually been at kind of a loss at what to say today. What can you say in 3 minutes about 20 years of experience with these men? I can talk about their character. They have a godly character. I can talk about their gifts. We pretty much know what those are. But I want to talk about their hearts. You see, they understood something about the role of eldership that a lot of churches don't get. It's not about control. It's not about bossing over the church. It's not about power. It's actually about service, and they got that. They got that. I was really proud of them some years ago when they decided that, the oversight of the finances of this church is not really an elder job. Let the deacons do it. They're capable. They set aside power or control, which oftentimes, it's about money. They didn't care about that. They cared about the spiritual needs of this congregation. And as we serve together, and I'm using the we because I was a part of their lives for so much, we did the best work when we led with our hearts. Yeah. These three men and their wives have hearts for God and hearts for the body of Christ. And they were first and foremost servants. So we're not going to have elders for a while because for one reason or another, things have changed, but it's not forever. God's going to raise up a new generation of leaders. God's going to raise up new elders. Who should you look for? It's not about talent. It's not about education. It's about heart. And it's about character. Look for the servants among you. Listen to God. I appreciate each of these men. And together we shed many tears through the years for those that were hurting, sometimes even for those who were in rebellion. But I honor these men first and foremost for their servant hearts. They're worthy of honor. Thank you.
Thank you guys for sharing. Proverbs 3:27 says, "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in your power to act." So I just want to encourage you as a church not to hold back from honoring and celebrating what God has done through Ray and Pat Mooney, Steve and Marilyn Gehring, and Jim and Kathy Rollins. And I encourage you to sit down and talk with them, to call them up or write them a card or take them out to coffee or dinner and just let them know how much you appreciate them. Let them know how grateful you are for their service and their care for this body. As this season of eldership comes to a close for these men, I want to encourage and challenge the rest of you. In some ways, this is a passing of the mantle of leadership to the next generation. And one of the biggest ways to honor the elders' efforts and their investment in this church is to pick up where they left off. To be men and women who are disciples of Jesus, who long to follow in Jesus' footsteps and to make more disciples of Jesus. And it would bring these men great joy to see other young men and women pick up where they left off. And so I challenge you to pour into this body with your whole heart, to give of yourselves to glorify Jesus and to love the people around us. I challenge you to evaluate where you are at and the contribution and the skills and the energy and the efforts that you have at your disposal, and build into this body and love this community well. And share the salvation that is found in Jesus Christ. Now is the time to take steps forward in our faith that we haven't taken, to serve maybe in new ways that we've never served before, to be creative and find new ways of sharing the love of Jesus, new ways that maybe we've never contemplated before. We know Jesus. And we know where hope is found. Now more than ever, we need to share the hope of Jesus with this world. And I want to remind you of a passage of scripture in Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 1. It says this: "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses," some of them here and some of them that have gone on before us, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. As we move forward at Christ Church of Deer Park in these unsettling times in our world, I want you to consider Jesus and the joy that was set before him and the joy that is set before us. And I want you to look at him and his endurance and his sacrifice that he made to forgive us of our sins. I mean, we are loved by the creator of the universe, and he has given us the power of the Holy Spirit living in us, and he's given us his word to direct us. I mean, he is in control. He's always been in control, and he's faithful. He's always been faithful. Amen. And so I challenge you here today to continue to move forward in your faith and not lose heart. It's easy to see all of this as a setback. But I know that when we are weak, he is strong. And I know that Jesus changed the world through humility and through service and sacrifice and unconditional love. And he changed the world through death, right? And I know that he took 12 normal people like you and I and discipled them for 3 years, and he let them loose, and they shaped history. And I know that that Jesus can take just a couple fish and a couple pieces of bread and feed thousands. I know God can do a lot with a little if we are willing to bring the little bit of life and breath and stuff and energy that we have and show up and say, here I am, send me. Amen. I know that I'm sinful. And I live among sinful people, but I'm showing up and I'm saying, here I am. Send me. And if you do that, then you can take heart knowing that God has already shown up. He has already been at work, doing great things for thousands of years before we were ever on this planet. For all we've seen, we haven't seen anything yet. You know, we're going to bring him praise for what he's going to do next. There are greater things in store if we are the ones that say, okay, I'm going to be a follower of Jesus to the very end. I'm going to devote my life to following him. Church, I'm not looking at this as a setback. We are celebrating and honoring the faithfulness of these guys because God has used them to set this church up for a great future ahead of us if we are willing to say, okay, I'm in pursuit of Jesus no matter what. That's how the church and discipleship has always worked. The generation before us sets up the generation after to carry on the mission of making disciples of Jesus. This isn't a setback. God has set this church up with a great foundation. And now it's our time to build. And by the grace of God, he will empower us for the task so that we can set up the next generation. Church, I love you guys. And I'm so grateful for the elders and the foundation that they have laid for us. And there is a future ahead of us that we are walking into that will require all of us as the church, as the people of God, to step up boldly and walk in love and grace and the truth of Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God. And we're going to sing a song called Sea of Victory. And when we first started playing this song, I think it was Sean that said, we've seen, there's a victory in the future that we're going to see. But we've actually seen some victories that Jesus has done already. And I totally agree with that. And these elders and their wives are living examples of victories that Jesus has won. Jesus has shaped their lives to be men and women who love Jesus. And they have poured out love into this body. We have experienced it. We have seen victories. We've seen it in their lives. And we're praising Jesus for it. And so, church, we need to make some noise. We need to cheer and we need to celebrate these men and women. We're so grateful for you guys.